repair and all sorts of things are going on. The town of Wayland ran into a situation with abandoned properties or properties that were not being maintained. Our code enforcement officer, who is doing a wondrous job, was serving notices, sending letters, making site visits, talking to people, and everybody would say, and a little investigation caused us to realize that our law, while it was on the books, it had absolutely no teeth in it. There was nothing, because we didn't have a list of consequences that could come about. There wasn't a court that would the court wouldn't pay any attention to us, so we had to rewrite our law so that we had a series of verbal warning, written warning, registered letter, and then failure to respond, the fines and or potential jail time. So if you don't have that in your law, you probably want to get that law taken care of, because I heard somebody say they're talking to law enforcement. Law enforcement's going to say to you, what can we do? And the courts won't touch it if you don't have listed items. And we had one individual who had multiple properties that we had been after for many years, and we had to start as if it was from ground zero with citing him to finally get it to resolution and get it into court and get the property taken care of. Just a bit of advice.
We do not have anything on there.
Yeah, you need to. And if you've got a law for that, you need to get the legal stuff into it.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Tom?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a couple things. I'm sure you guys have already thought about it. At some point in time, the town's probably going to have to hire an acoustical engineer, whether you can use that, intervene or fund money for that or not, but you're really going to have somebody, that's a lot more knowledgeable than any of us here to look into that. This other issue with the cell tower, I keep thinking about that, and I'm wondering what's going to happen if somebody's house is on fire, somebody's having a heart attack, and because the wind turbine is so close that it disrupts the signal. And there's not a lot of information out there on it, so in what I've looked into is the OSHA standards, which it should be 1,300 feet. I mean, somebody else can look and find some other information that might be better, but that's what I've looked into. And the last thing is this ethics. I don't understand how the board, you all got the ethics law ahead of time, I'm assuming, so I don't know how you could vote on that when 3 people had conflicts of interest. It doesn't make sense. I think you need to look into that Article 18 a little more. And that's really where this municipal, attorney comes in with environmental. And I would just like to hear what Supervisor Murray thinks about hiring somebody like, or just having Gary Abraham come in to do a presentation. I'd like to hear what she thinks about that.
I think it would be nice to hire a municipal lawyer. I think it would be helpful for us instead of trying to do all these things ourselves.
Read Article 6.
What's that?
Article 6.
What's Article 6?
I think that Article 6 explains it all. When you have like 3 board members that can't vote, they all vote.
Yeah, but the municipal lawyer to help us with all these. The
Yeah,
everything, not just things.
that was in that law, I believe.
Yes.
The way it read, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I read it, and that's the way I turned it. When 3 of them are ineligible, then they all vote.
I think it's a good idea to get a municipal attorney instead of just
I know we
a
discussed
real
that guy
estate attorney.
Philmont,
Yeah.
the guy that's in charge of the Allegheny County IGA, maybe his name said he's.
And if you get somebody in the next
What's his
month or so, when you get somebody that quick, then you're gonna have to have a special meeting or something.
Did you say Philmont?
Yeah, he's
I
from Philmont.
think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I think,
The guy said he's kind of anal about it.
yeah.
Do you want me to look into calling?
I think for this whole thing, it'd be nice to have a municipal lawyer.
Do you guys think you should put maybe a moratorium on it? I mean, with this planning board thing, if you guys do decide to go that route, I mean, I know Ann Dye's got quite a busy schedule. If that's something that they are gonna, would even entertain looking into, that you would just put a moratorium on this to give her and the planning board time to, do a little background on this stuff. that with the municipal attorney would really probably protect the town a heck of a lot better than what we have right now.
Well, I gotta say that the town board has done a really good job looking into all of the details of
Yes, they
this.
have.
And really, I don't think we're going to add the value that they've already done that work. I'm serious, I've sat with them a couple times and it's just a lot of time's gone into it. They definitely understand the details much better than putting a new group of people that are just barely familiar. It's gonna take way too long. I don't mind if you want us to be part of, you know, the working with a municipal lawyer. I have no problem with that, but I think to do the detail that, this lady has talked about from Wayland, it's way too late. We really are. We're working at getting the planning board back established. We have enough on our plates with things that weren't done until now. And we also are looking at the solar law, and we'd like to get going on some of the things that are gonna start impacting us real soon. You guys have a handle on this. So personally, I think that we'd like to be involved. I just feel like we would just be holding you back from where you are right now. I know you guys have done a lot of work on this.
Couldn't Emily meet with this lawyer and talk with him, I mean, and explain what the situation is,
And then see what the
and see
suggestions
whether
are.
he would be willing to come to a meeting and
Right,
advise us.
and then we'll decide at that time what we have to do beyond that.
But wouldn't you have to authorize her some monetary amount just to get him to come? He's not gonna give this information over the phone, and there's quite a bit. You know, allow $3,000 or something just to get him to talk to you guys. I mean, you all should be listening to what he has to say.
Well, it'd be nice to call a special meeting and have them come and talk.
If you can get him to come.
Right.
If.
See what arrangements we gotta make first, and then we'll go from there.
So you wanna kind of look into that and then table the amount till next one? Or do you wanna put an amount out there, cap it at something?
That's where it
What do you
gets
think?
tough, then you start spending money, pissing it away, and once it's gone, it's gone.
That's not pissing it away.
You take that, huh?
No, absolutely not.
That's my way of looking at it.
You think talking to a municipal attorney is pissing it away?
It just might be.
You just turned around and said it's a good idea to do it.
It's a good idea to talk to them, but hey, talk with them. and
Well,
see.
they're not gonna do anything for nothing. Would you?
Well, no.
Well, I'm saying, you go fix a house for nothing.
We do for our normal attorney, Brian Shu.
Legal services are legal services. So if you're gonna make an initial phone call to this attorney and find out what the fee schedule is, if he's even, so you can't really determine an amount, and you've already got budgeted money. If at a later date you had to increase that money, you could then put in the fees for this guy, but you wouldn't necessarily tonight have to set an amount, because you're gonna come back to your board before you actually hire him. So, you know, the money determination
But we
is,
need, though, he might not wanna come and speak to us for free.
right,
And that's-
absolutely.
Well, you don't expect anybody to do it for free, that's for sure.
I think it would give a lot of people peace of mind, you know, so I don't think it will be money not well spent. I mean, it will take some of the burden off of your guys' shoulders too. You're not municipal lawyers, and you've done a heck of a job, but to get one more look at this thing isn't a bad idea.
Well, like Cindy said, why don't you just put a cap on it for 3,000? You figure whatever attorney you get, and an hour drive here, an hour back, talk for an hour, it's 3 hours. Who knows what they're charging, 400 or 500 an hour. I mean, that at least would cover you. You know, it's not like you're not necessarily going to use the whole 3,000, but that gives you an amount to work with, depending on how far this attorney drives.
Wonder, what are you gonna ask him when he gets here?
I can ask him a lot of questions. I can ask him about 20 questions, and I'm sure the board can too. It's a lot of liability here.
No, that's something you gotta decide what you're gonna question, and what, all that stuff, if you're gonna have somebody come in.
I mean, I brought 3 questions up to Dean and Mike already tonight that were pretty, I think they're legitimate questions.
So we have money in it and we have money in account for law.
We have $2,500, but it's already allotted to
Is
the
it
front
respect?
issue.
I make a motion to allow.
Just a tenant.
Murray,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Phelps,
Abstain.
Kiefer,
Aye.
Whitman.
Aye.
4 ayes, 0 nays, and 1 abstain.
Now, Tom, who was that lawyer you mentioned?
Gary Abraham, he does environmental too. I think he'd be, a step above, just, he's a municipal lawyer and environmental lawyer.
Is he local?
Oh, I forget. I seen him on the internet and I read some of the stuff on there. He's an excellent attorney.
Just in case the Fillmore lawyer.
I mean, just so everybody's aware, Gary Abraham is an anti-wind lawyer.
Lawyer.
He was anti-Cassega, who's with the intervener group the whole way. He's representing Naples. So if you want to hire somebody that's going to oppose the wind project, then you hire Gary.
He's for the towns. He's not anti-wind. That's almost slander.
Emily, if you look on the website, on the siting board's website, at the various filings, you will find tons of Gary's correspondence and his statements, so that you can see his position on this. And yes, he definitely, has an environmental bent, but it's very focused.
His focus is protecting towns.
And he is representing amongst others Naples. So there's a lot of the correspondence, even though Naples is not a participating town.
Okay. Any other comments? I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.